Thanks. One of the things that Yasmin mentioned was liquidity. And from a tax perspective, I think also what needs to be considered is for those surviving, and how are they going to pay their sort of day-to-day expenses. So you have to consider that part as well, and to ensure that there's sufficient liquidity, to ensure that they've got funds to continue living. In terms of the estate itself, it could take anything from 6 months to a few years, depending on how complex the estate is and how long the master's office takes. At this point, I think there's several challenges that have been experienced in terms of winding off estates with the master's office. So what I also wanted to discuss was, and I'd like to call it a personal file, but others refer to it as a death file. So what you need to maintain in terms of the information that the people you leave behind would need, in order to make sure that the estate is wound up as quick as possible and they are informed. I mean, we've had situations where there've been, like you mentioned, youngsters that passed away, even those that are older, and I think it was especially during the times of COVID, where people did not, the surviving spouses and children did not know what the password was to the deceased cell phone, computer. You got all sorts
including bank accounts,
credit cards, yes, bank accounts. So, I have prepared a list which is not sort of exhaustive. It may not be applicable in some cases, or you may have other stuff that would be more applicable. So, in terms of this file, what information you should keep, copies of your ID, passport, your tax details, put all of your tax information into it, your parents' information. In some cases, it requires that information for some reason or the other. There may be assets that your parents have that you've been part of it because of inheritance. So you need to have your parents' information as well. Your marriage information, your antenuptial contract, whether you're married in community or property, your spouse details, their income tax. They might be surprised to find out that they were a taxpayer during your lifetime as well. So put in their details as well as your children's details. Add your children's details in there with, their ID and income tax details. So if you're in business, the name of all your entities that you're part of, the shareholding that you own, if there's any loans relating to those businesses. In addition, you may have trusts. So again, put that information into your file, with copies of the letter of authority and your trust deed. So you may have financial planning that you did during the course of your lifetime as well. So you've got those information in terms of agreements that you may have, or if you have partners in your business, what are the agreement that has been agreed on in terms of in the event of the demise of one of the partners. If there's any sort of key man policies that are existing with that. Then it was mentioned earlier about your will. I'm not going to mention that part of it, but obviously the original copy of your will needs to be, the family needs to know where's your original will and who the executors are. If there's any agreement in terms of an attorney or an executor, has there been an agreement in terms of fees? Because you don't want to be surprised as well. And that's also going to put some pressure on your estate. So whatever original documents like your property, title deeds, your vehicle, the logbooks, anything relating to that. If there's any sort of safe deposit box, the details of that, where the keys are, list of personal advisors that you may have had interaction with during your lifetime and what their contact details are, your accountant, your attorney, your banker, your insurance broker, as well as your executor. And you may have a specific religious leader that you want to assist in the process. You need to document that. Obviously, a full list of all your assets and liabilities. And I would advise that this information as well be updated regularly, at least once in 6 months. If you have any insurance policies, the details of that, retirement annuities, and as well as who the beneficiaries are that may be listed already If you're employed, your current employer details, any specific information relating to pension funds, provident funds, etc. If you are members of any clubs, professional association, for example, a gym, obviously those need to be cancelled. Your credit card, debit card details. I mean, simple things like your utilities, your electricity, telephone, cell phone, having details of that so that they could continue to pay. I mean, imagine not knowing how to pay the electricity account and that gets disconnected
Yes.
because your details are not there. So I think, it's important that all those details be in this file. I mean, if you look at sort of social media, you've got all sorts of things now, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, etc. I think you want to put those details, although some people may not want to, but it's important, I think, your passwords to that, and your laptop, computer, cell phone, the login details and software that you have on there. There may be renewals on softwares that you may have subscribed to as well. If you've got any loyalty programs, frequent traveler as an example, the username and passwords, bank accounts, all the details of those, and including your login details.
It takes 6 months to just compile that. And you have to update it.
So the last few is basically your burial requests, where you want to be buried, who you want to be perform your last rites. If there are any specific bequests and charities that you want funds, obviously that will be part of your will as well. And the family must be aware of this file in the event of death or illness. So it's
excellent, Faziel.
Yeah.
And I think the listeners are going to ask, where can they access that list? It's a good list. And obviously there's a file that with your will and other things. And somebody in your family must have all those details. Sometimes, you give it to your wife and she dies before you. So then you're going to look at her assets and decide how. So Faziel, what I'll do is we'll make available that list. It's an excellent list, and it's sometimes you think you've got everything, but that covers most of it. So you'll make it available for us. We'll put it on our website, and inshallah people can access it.